Thank you for staying with us. You're still watching The Breakfast on Plustv Africa. It's time to look at the global stories that has made it to different pages of our national dailies this morning. And joining us to review the papers is Kehinde Nwandu. He's the executive editor, CKN News. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning to you.
All right, we begin with the Punch this morning, and the Punch leads with defections. It says Hurricane Tinubu sweeps 12 more senators and representatives. The writer here says APC courts 4 PDP governors, 10 Akwa Ibom National Assembly members to join ENO, 2 Edo Nasarawa senators to quit SDP and Labour Party. So Hurricane Tinubu is what they're calling it now, and we're already seeing, the ruling party having talks with about 4 PDP governors to join their party. And of course, 12 senators, that's a huge number. We saw what happened in Delta State, where the entire state that was a PDP state had to move to APC. And I'm just wondering, because you're a lawyer, and maybe you're the one that will give us better insight on this. In Nigeria, when you're elected, is it the person that is being elected, or is it, the political party that is being elected? Because when we're seeing these defections, I'm wondering what happens here. And what do you think about the fact that people are already accusing the president of trying to turn this into a one-party state?
Well, I've said in government already that politics is something you cannot determine, and you cannot predict what will happen the next moment. So, at any given point in time, Nigerian politicians are different from what is obtainable in other developed countries. Other countries you see politicians with ideology. Politics in Nigeria is not the way we play politics, not the way it is played in other parts of the world. So, no ideology. So, at any given point, that's why it's moving like sheep. Without shepherds. So to see somebody in PDP today, tomorrow is in APC, from there move to Labour Party and the rest of them. So it's not surprising to me, and I'm sure most Nigerians are not surprised by what is going on. But whether Nigeria can be turned into a one-party state, I doubt it. I really doubt that. Yes, people will depend, but the other political parties will still win. They may be weakened, as it were, by the stroke of the depression, but Nigeria can never be a one-party state. But the issue there is that the opposition parties also should try to put their hands together. There's this belief that the ruling party is the one fueling the crisis in the opposition parties, which I don't want to believe. But if they're able to put their hands together, then they can be able to get their hands together and confront the ruling party as it were. But as we are today, we cannot pinpoint any level of opposition from any of the major opposition parties. Is it the PDP or the Labour Party? And that is the problem we are facing. So, but rest assured that before 2027 also, we will also see some level of implosion in the APC. You'll be shocked. There's most of people within the APC may also want to move to other political parties. Especially once the primary starts, and some of them will lose this primary at whatever level, that governorship, House of Representatives, Senate, or State House of Assembly. Those people will also want to find a way and look for other political parties to be able to meet their ambition for 2027. But for now, let's continue to watch and see what is going to happen. But for me, what I'm much more interested in is governance. We seem to have swept government to the background, and everybody is talking about 2027, which is about 2 years from now. The current government are just spending 2 years, and then they have 2 more years to go. Why don't they just concentrate on giving Nigerians the dividend of democracy for which they were elected, rather than just engaging in the issue of politicking and leaving weak governance to the background? That is my own personal worry about this.
Oh, well, that's Nigeria. Let's move to the Tribune. The Tribune is saying Naira may stabilize around 1,600 Naira and 1,650 Naira in the near term. That's according to experts.
I Are you hearing me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. We lost your audio at some point. But did you hear my question?
Yes.
The Naira may stabilize at 1.6 or 1.650 in the near future. So that's what the experts are saying. What do you say about it?
Well, after the putting of the Naira, when President Tinubu came into office in 2023, this value about floating of Naira, as well as the prices, increase in the price of petroleum products. And most Nigerians believe that those two policies, as it were, is what got us where we are today, present. And Nigerians have not recovered from those two policies. To some experts, 1,000, anything above 1,000 naira, they believe is not the true position of the naira. And to go to strengthening the naira, a lot of things need to be done. First and foremost is the issue of Nigeria exporting enough products to be able to get foreign exchange. If we don't produce and export, then they're going to have issues. Where you get the dollars from? So, foreign exchange from. So at 1,600, I still believe that is still very, very high, and something can be done about that. But now the point that it almost go to 2,000, and what we had, from what we had, some experts have said, what we had minimal protection during probably time of for it is because that we had the dollar, the government was using a lot of injecting a lot of dollars into the system, trying to subsidize, put and downgrade, as it were, the dollar to make it as cheap as it was, put and downgrade. Because if you look at it from the point of what it was pre to May 29, 2023. When this current government, the dollar was about, I think about 400 thereabout. But now we have that increment, that high level of over close to about 1,600 now, compared, is impacting so much in the economy. If you look at the manufacturing sector, practically most of the major manufacturing companies in Nigeria are practically folded up because they are finding it difficult to be able to operate. The same thing with the energy, that is the petroleum sector, where petrol is hovering between 800 and 900 from what it used to be before. So those planning Nigeria's economy, those in charge of our economy, to me, I don't think they've been doing so much after. But you know, government will always be their chest perfect, they've done so much. If you look at where we're coming from and where we are today, when it comes to the naira, to the dollar, I don't think we're able to achieve anything at 1,600 to a dollar. That to me is still pretty high, and something should be done so that we can remain competitive in the international market. If you want to go and buy a dollar, or you want to send, you want to pay your school fee of your children, and those abroad, for those of them that have been abroad, you know what it costs. You want to report something, the same thing. So 1,000 for me is still very high.
All right, so let's look at another story on the Nigerian Tribune. It says Abacha didn't annul June 12 election, never stole money. Mariam defends late husband. The writer here says money saved by Abacha vanished months after his death. What do you think about Mariam Abacha's statement right now? She was on the television and she was just speaking about how people just move with the narrative. In fact, she said the media moves with a narrative that isn't true, and was just calling for national unity without religious bias or sentiment. And on the Daily Trust, it says money my husband kept for Nigeria vanished. What's your take on this?
Well, it's good that to see Mrs. Mariam Abacha once again after such a long while. Yesterday was the 7th anniversary of the death of our husband, former military head of state, Sani Abacha. And Madam used the opportunity to say a lot of things about her husband. Well, it is her words. The Nigerians know better. Where do we start from? We are talking of money. What of the atrocities that were committed under Abacha? The number of Nigerians that were killed. especially those that oppose the annulment of the June 12. She shouldn't just start reminding Nigerians some of the things that we're trying to forget. Abacha remains one of the worst, if not the worst, leader Nigeria ever had. So whatever she said is her personal opinion. Yes, I think that some of the saving, the money that we recover from Abacha were remitted. But for me, they say Nigeria, they said there was saving money for Nigeria. Was it Nigerian account? Was it not in his personal account that he? So you save money abroad for your country and you put that in a particular your personal account and also hidden accounts. Those money are still being recovered till today. So Mrs. Mariam Abacha should just save us for this one. Let her continue to do more.
Well, so there,
what she said.
Yeah. There are reports that, of course, Nigeria was sanctioned as at that time, by the US, by European Union and whatnot. And so the reason why these monies were kept abroad was to, do transactions undetected. And then there's also the saying that during Abacha's regime, Nigeria flourished economically compared to where we are now. How about that?
What level of development? Let me tell you, and let us look at it from the point of I've always said the rest of metro remains the worst. It's worse than the work of civilian. Yes, we are politicians at 10% of it. But for goodness sake, the Nigerians are very good to forget history. Look back to the time of Abacha. I was really not able to understand to know what happened during the time. A lot of people making in fact, I don't want to, Abacha is not something that I even want to discuss. Whatever what the friend said, saving the money because there was sanction. If he had done the right thing, why would he be sanctioned? He was the one that Rume to be able to remove Emefiele from who was appointed, quote unquote, by Ibrahim Babangida as an interim leader of Nigeria. People are forgetting that he was part of the cabinet, one of the arrogant that made sure that the June 12, which was the greatest election in Nigerian history, was annulled by Babangida. Although Mrs. Mariam Abacha is not trying to say, no, he was not the one it was right. Yes, I think he was head of the X. He was a member of the Armed Forces Council. And if he was not part of it, so why didn't he just say so? Why was he so adamant? All of them that were within the cabinet and were so happy with it. Why did he take over government? It was so, all the excuses being given for me don't cause eyes with me. The way that Abacha was so ruthless as a military of state, it remains and will continue to remain one of the worst that we ever had. Whether economy was buoyant, economy was not buoyant, to me, it's not to be. It's neither here nor there. For him to have stolen Nigeria blind, and he said he's coming, according to you, based on what he said, he's saving for Nigeria because there are sanctions. That is not true at all. He was with the kind of atrocity that he committed to the Nigerian people. Still remains. You need to start looking at things that died during this period. After Rume, Abiola, there's so many, including journalists, that were killed under this man. So what are we talking about?
Well, I just wish Abacha were alive to defend himself, right? Because Al-Mustafa today is giving us stories. Al-Mustafa today is giving us stories that we are looking at like, okay, was he a good man or was he a bad man? Because he's still alive. And I wish also he were alive to answer or respond to the book that IBB wrote. Yeah. Because all the things that he said, if he were here to defend himself or to respond to it, we would have had a better understanding of things that really happened then. But, like we say, let's leave the rest to God. That's it. As it is. Okay, so let's see how much more we can get. Another Tinubu's aide resigns, and I'm bringing this because of the headline we've already had of the Hurricane Tinubu and all that. Meanwhile, even though it's a significant number, but some people are still resigning from the cabinet of the president. I don't know how you will analyze that. There are endorsements from the National Assembly, from the APC, from everybody. They're endorsing the president, yet a few, insignificant number, yet still big names in the executive are resigning. What do you think is going on?
Well, when you say big name, I don't know who the people you are talking about, the special assistant to the president or public affairs.
Their names are bigger than mine, at least.
That's the person I'm talking about. I never heard of his name before. I don't, so as far as I'm concerned, it's insignificant as far as the cabinet. He must have no bearing within the cabinet, and that is why he's saying what he said. I heard what he said. You don't want to be this, you don't know what and I don't know how significant. Just if you mention his name, I don't even know his name. So, for me to be in the media and not know about him goes to show how significant he is. But people have the right to resign. And if he feels that his conscience is clear and they believe that he don't want to be part of this cabinet any longer, then for whatever reason, he has a right as a Nigerian to resign. After all, was this the former spokesperson of the president, Ngelali, right?
During
Ngelali also resigned. So many may still resign. I saw somebody who was a spokesman of Atiku. What's his name? Mr. Rume, who was an antagonist of this current government and this current president, going to visit the president 2 days ago, and he's singing a new song. This morning, I've seen all the things I've been saying, talking about P2B, the largest and principal, although it didn't mention his name directly. So, those are Nigerian, it goes back to what I said before, Nigerian politicians, they have no ideology. At times, most of those guys are just what we call in local parlance, where Bele face. So if where his belly is facing is not giving the kind of returns in terms of what, then you see them there and they move on. So his resignation, dignifying as it may seem, but he must have called in October within the presidency, and I think that's one of the reasons. If he's getting what he wants within the presidency, I'm sure he will resign. So I will move on to another story.
So you're thinking everybody who just resigns is because he's not getting what he wants to get?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
I say that some people, for whatever ideology, they have, they feel that it is not falling within within their own personal conviction as is to be president or the governor and the rest of them. Remember what happened in our five states.
Yeah.
Your neighbor states, where the governor said they had become to APC, and one of the commissioners said, "I'm resigning." That is, to me, that one is principle. If you understand what I mean, that one is principle. For a commissioner to just wake up and say, "I'm not going with you, I want to remain in PDP, I'm resigning." That is principle. It's different from what the particular one you're talking about. And that's why I said, so most of our politicians are very selfish people. Well, the person we do for table, they don't table manners now when it comes to politics. When they chop, now they talk, or else you get choked.
Well, so even on the Daily Trust, it says, there's a story here that says, pilgrimage to Bodilon. So inside politicians, pilgrimage to Bodilon. So just writing off what you're saying, that, someone can be saying something, and before you know it, goes into Asorok and singing a different song. Anyways, on...
You never visit Bodilon.
We haven't.
I haven't.
We haven't visited.
Okay, Noli have never visited. Let me put it, Noli have never visited.
All right, the leading story here on the Daily Trust says, flood, residents resist evacuation, seek help. What's your take on that as we wrap this up?
I didn't hear you again.
Flood, residents resist evacuation and seek help. So, of course, there are a few states that are prone to flood. I think the high-risk flood states right now are Abia, Adamawa, Akwa Ibom, Anambra, Bauchi, Bayelsa. In fact, a lot of states are, obviously high risk to flood right now, and there are the warnings, but some people are resisting evacuation, but they seek help, which I don't understand. Your comment?
My heart goes out to the people of Mokwa. in Niger State. And
Yeah.
the number of lives that were lost, over 200 now, are still counting. So many are still missing, still can't find them. But we continue to see this disaster year in year because I don't know why our government is not taking proactive measures, both at the federal, state, and local government level. Because some of these things have been predicted by limits. If you remember the statement issued by limit at the beginning of the year, and one that so many of these states are prone to flood and flood disaster, and a lot of things are going to happen later. What you ask yourself, what did the government, both at the federal, state, and state, local government level, what did they do? So it is only when it happens that we start running around and trying to find a way. Then the people that we are asking to evacuate, where are they going to? Where are they going to evacuate them? You are going to, they should move into the bush. You say move to higher level. Which higher level? A responsible government would have tried to make an alternative for them before this period, so that we can be able to resettle them and they have a place to stay until this happens. So that is how we roll in Nigeria. So while other countries try to make it, let us not take away from the fact that disaster can happen anytime. It happens in the US, it happens in the UK, it happens all over the world. There are always disasters happening on a daily basis. But the difference between them and us is that how proactive are we? Even if it happens, how other countries handle that is quite different from the way a manner will happen. We take care of our own people here. So, and it's just the same, the cycle continue. After the rainy season now, everybody go to sleep. Next year, we still everybody shouting again and say, oh, disaster again. Then the ecological fund that is given to the state on a monthly basis, have we asked ourselves what they use those ecological funds for? Those are the issues.
All right. Well, this is how much we can take on this segment right now. Chris, I want to say thank you so much for coming. It's always a pleasure having you. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you very much. I wish I just come on air one day and just discuss something that's progressive. What we just get every day is all this distressing news and stuff. It's so annoying. But it is well. God bless Nigeria. Have a wonderful day ahead.
We'll discuss whether you had ram to eat or not. So it's something lighthearted.
I don't talk.
Thank you very much.
I know one single meat I don't see this year. That's how bad the economy is. It is well.
Crazy.
It is well, sir.
It's God.
Thank you so much. Nigeria will be better. All right, that was Chris Kehinde Nwandu. He's the editor of CKR News, and we're just taking the stories that made it to the front pages of our national dailies. We'll go on a short break now. When we return, we'll be discussing the fact that OT has blasted early 2027 campaigns and backs Tinubu's economic policies. Please stay with us.